Tonight, somewhere in America, someone is lying in bed, telling themselves the exact same sentence they told themselves last night. Tomorrow, I'll start. They mean it. That's the part that should unsettle you. It's not a lie. In the moment they say it, they fully believe it. And tomorrow, when it arrives, it won't feel like today did. It'll feel like a fresh chance, clean, uncomplicated, easier than this exhausting version of right now. Except tomorrow was never actually going to be easier. Something in the brain is quietly rigging the comparison, every single night, and almost nobody catches it happening. So here's the real question. If you genuinely want to start, why does your own mind keep handing the job to a version of you that doesn't exist yet? Meet Ryan, 28, works in sales, and for 6 months he's told himself he'll start applying for a better job this weekend. Every Friday, the plan is real. Every Sunday night, it's Monday's problem again. Here's what's strange. Ryan isn't lazy. He works 10-hour days. He just spent 45 minutes watching a video on how to write the perfect resume, and closed the laptop without opening his own. Economists have a name for what's happening in his head: present bias. Our brains consistently overvalue rewards available right now and undervalue ones that require waiting, even when we know, logically, the later reward is worth more. Researcher George Ainsley mapped this decades ago and found something almost embarrassing about how humans are wired. Offered $10 today or $20 in a month, most people take the 10. Not because the math is unclear, because now has a gravitational pull the future simply doesn't. That pull has a name too: temporal discounting. And it explains something Ryan would never say out loud. To Ryan's brain, the version of him that exists tomorrow isn't really him. It's practically a stranger. Neuroscience backs this up in an unsettling way. When people are asked to imagine their future selves, brain scans show something closer to the activity you'd see when picturing another person entirely. Not the pattern that lights up when picturing yourself right now. Which means when Ryan promises tomorrow he'll handle it, some part of his brain genuinely believes he's asking a favor of someone else. That's a strange kind of relief. And also a strange kind of trap. But there's a second reason tonight's promise feels so easy to make, and it has almost nothing to do with laziness. Think about the actual task Ryan is avoiding. Updating a resume means confronting every gap, every unimpressive title, every place his career didn't go the way he hoped. Sending it out means waiting for a response that might be silence, or worse, a rejection with his name on it. Psychologists call this task avoidance, and it's rarely about the task itself. It's about what the task might prove. Researcher Piers Steele spent years studying procrastination and found that the tasks we delay longest aren't the hardest ones. They're the ones most tangled up with fear of failure. The resume isn't just a document, it's evidence. And evidence can't hurt you as long as it stays unwritten. So the brain doesn't see procrastination as failure. It sees it as protection. It's the same reason a student opens the textbook 3 times and closes it 3 times, always finding one more thing to reorganize first. It's the same reason an unread email about a difficult conversation sits at the top of an inbox for a week, marked unread on purpose, so it doesn't have to become real yet. Different task, same math running underneath. As long as it hasn't been attempted, it hasn't been judged. Here's where it gets almost unfair. That 45 minutes Ryan spent watching resume tips, it didn't feel like avoidance. It felt like progress. Dopamine, the brain's chemical of motivation, doesn't just fire when you finish something, it fires at the anticipation of being closer to a goal. Watching the video gave Ryan a small, real hit of that chemical. Enough to feel productive, not enough to require the discomfort of an actual attempt. Which means the version of Ryan who watches 10 videos about job hunting can feel more accomplished than the version who sends one imperfect application. His brain rewarded the rehearsal like it was the performance. By the time evening comes, there's one more force working against him, and this one has nothing to do with fear at all. By 9 p.m., Ryan has made hundreds of small decisions. What to eat, what to answer his boss, whether to take the call from his mother. Psychologist Roy Baumeister's research on decision fatigue found that the sheer volume of choices in a day measurably drains the mental resources needed for the next hard one. The resume doesn't need energy. It needs energy that's already gone. Tomorrow morning, before the day's decisions pile up, that same task will feel almost manageable. Which is exactly why tomorrow isn't a lie. Tomorrow morning Ryan genuinely will have more to work with. The trap isn't the promise. It's that the promise keeps getting made at the 1 hour it's least likely to be kept. It's why the gym bag stays packed by the door for a week straight, always tomorrow's plan, never tonight's. By the time the decision to go arrives, it's not really competing against laziness. It's competing against a brain that's already spent its budget for the day. There's one more piece, quieter than the rest, and it might be the most familiar. Ryan doesn't just want to send an application. He wants to send a perfect one. No typos, no awkward phrasing, a resume that finally looks like the version of his career he imagined at 22. That instinct has a name, perfectionism, and researchers have found it's one of procrastination's closest companions. Not because perfectionists don't care. Because they care so much that, good enough to send, feels like a small betrayal of what they're actually capable of. So the task waits for a mood, a moment, a version of the work that never quite arrives, because it was never really about the resume being ready. It was about Ryan feeling ready to be judged by it. And there's a strange twist to that unfinished file sitting in his drafts folder. Psychologists call it the Zeigarnik effect. The mind's habit of holding on to unfinished tasks far more tightly than finished ones, replaying them, circling back to them, refusing to let them fully rest. The resume Ryan never sends doesn't disappear from his mind just because he closed the laptop. It follows him into the shower, into meetings, into the quiet seconds before sleep, present in almost every way except the one that would finally let it go. So maybe the question was never why Ryan can't start. Maybe it's that starting was never actually the hard part. The hard part is what starting might reveal, and the brain, given the choice between comfort and evidence, will pick comfort almost every time, dressed up as a plan for tomorrow. Tomorrow was never a lie. It was just never going to arrive. Carrying the courage tonight was too tired, too full, and too afraid to spend.